I started in the internship with research and I figured out that that was what I liked. Our company got acquired by SAIC. And then the research contract ended and they didn't pursue the follow on work. So I got realigned to more of a productization, production software job where it was like full stack development, like making a GUI, making a REST API, things like that. And it was just very monotonous to me. Like I wanted to keep learning, and it wasn't pushing me at all. So I started looking for new jobs, interviewed at 6 or 7 places, and accepted the one at Human Geo. But then when I got there, they also put me on production software, despite them telling me that they had research work that they were going to align me to. So I tried 2 different projects while I was at that company, each for about 6 months, and they both were like pretty much production software, and just not what I wanted to do. So I started a very directed search after that. And looked and asked specifically at the interviews, like if there were research positions, if there was any like more fast moving projects. And that's ultimately how I found my team at Booz Allen that I've been with for the past 7 or 8 years. What I found with some of the bigger companies like Booz Allen is the positions online listed are not necessarily like directly reflective of the work that they actually have. So I think I learned early on in that search after my first job hop, that I needed to ask like probing questions at the interviews around what the project work was actually going to be. And I think that's kind of how I figured out. I think I just interviewed for like a regular full stack position at Booz Allen, but I asked them if they had any research projects. Like I basically let them know in the interview that I was interested. I wasn't really interested in production software, and I was interested in more research and development, algorithm development, things like that. I think I was just very vocal with exactly the type of work I was looking for.
I would say in a way to maybe help someone that's just starting their career, with that as the mindset, I would say that you really shouldn't be afraid to try something new. That the way to grow. A lot of people ask me how I became CEO of the company, and really it was because I told the former CEO that I wanted his job one day. I mean that was it. Where we were talking one day, and I wasn't even close to being ready to take over the company, but he asked me how I liked work, and then he asked me what I wanted to do later, and I told him, I said my eventual goal is to have your job when you're ready to retire. I want to be CEO, and I think I'd be good at it. And he told me that I was the only person ever that told him that I was the only person ever that said that's what I wanted to do, even though he knew that there were a ton of people that wanted this job, that I was the only one that talked to him about it. And so, um, when it comes to thinking about a career shift or a big change or something like that, just don't have a lot of fear, because you can always go back and fix it. If you don't like it, you can always shift back. Or if it's not the right thing, there's always a million other things that you can shift to. But you're never going to know whether you like or don't like something until you try it. And so if you have a mindset that, oh, I'm going to try something new, then just take the leap and do it. Um,
The first 5 years of my career, I spent in critical systems in the data center industry. So I was working mainly like for large banks and financial institutions. And then I graduated in 2008 actually. So it ended up being a very difficult year for banks with the Occupy Wall Street. My company had a really tough time that I was working for, and there were like a lot of layoffs, and then we had trouble getting paid and getting new projects for a while. But anyway, I did commissioning, testing, shutdowns, maintenance. I did sort of like a lot of hands-on stuff more than the design on the computer. But I learned like a lot with that. And then when I shifted the direction, it was because of the economy and what happened with the Occupy Wall Street. And it also in 2013, we had Hurricane Sandy hit New York City. So there was like a huge influx of federal funds released to rehabilitate the infrastructure. So I just got my engineering license and basically I got recruited into like the railway industry. So it was like it wasn't a complete shift in the sense that I was still doing power, but it was like pretty big difference than the data center industry. That was very unexpected. I think I will say the influence was based on like economic events. And I think the way it overall affected my journey, it was all good because I like learning and I just basically learned like all different skills. I applied my old skills. I think you can't go wrong with trying new things and continuing to learn even when you become a senior engineer, there's always something to learn.